welcome back to a new video. So today I wanted to get back to this book I discovered a while ago. It's called Inspiration Aquarell by Helen Birch, and I already did a video on the prompt here. I will link it somewhere so you can watch it if you want to. And I used watercolor for that. And today I thought I wanted to do a gouache prompt. And yes, maybe before I show you that, so how the book works is that you've got an artist and some kind of example work of him or her, and then you will have a short description here on the other side, and maybe also some tips on how you can recreate the artwork. And you have, of course, definitely a lot about watercolor, but also it contains, let me see, where is it? Digital watercolor, mixed media here, digital watercolor artwork, and also gouache. And since I recently discovered using gouache, and I will come back to that in a minute, yes, but since I recently discovered that, I wanted to do a gouache prompt. And I will show you which one I chose, and it's this one here by Pugsley. Now I like that one a lot because it has it has muted colors, and then B, because it has this definite gouache look. So I especially like it when you can see the brush strokes like here, though I already read that she might have also used some acrylic, and that accounts for the very visible brush strokes. So it might be that she has used acrylic here on these parts where, I don't know if you can see that, but here the brush strokes are really visible. Yes, and I think I will recreate a very similar scene. I will probably use different colors, maybe incorporate a bit more pattern, because that's just what I like in my illustrations. And I will be muting my colors, but probably not as much as Kate Pugsley did here. Okay, so I will start out with a sketch, and I will speed that sketch up for you, and then I will see you afterwards when I'll be starting coloring my line work. Now, annoyingly, my camera got completely out of focus here, so I really sped that part up. I actually took quite a while to get that girl right. And yes, I'm just sketching the girl here and trying to find the right posture. And also I did some ground she's standing on, and I will be explaining more of that in a minute. Okay, so now it took me quite a while to get the girl as I like. I didn't want to do exactly the same as Kate did, and I had a reference photo which I used in the beginning, but then she was holding a ball, because it was a commercial for a bathing suit for girls, and I thought of making her cheerful, but then I thought, no, I really didn't want that. I wanted to go with the mood of the original illustration, which is a bit more somber. And then I thought about, being a girl, and then maybe when you're 10, 11, 12, 13, how you start to feel when you're wearing a bathing suit. And it feels different than when you're 5, 6, or 7, because you start becoming aware of your body. And I was remembering that hugging movement that girls sometimes do, like when they have their arms folded around their bellies. And I wanted to recreate that here. And so when I decided that I wanted to be a bit more kind of pensive, sad, maybe not feeling quite comfortable, I also decided that I wanted her to look down, and I've got her eyebrows raised a bit like this to have her look a bit, a bit more sad. Okay, so I will work on her a little bit longer because I'm not yet happy with both of the arms, and then I will go and add in the other details. Since my camera still didn't focus, I sped that part up again. I'm quite sorry for that. I also cut out some of the stuff that I was explaining, but it really didn't make any sense since the picture is so blurred. So the camera will come into focus in a minute when I will be adding the color, and I hope it stays that way. So I will just be using some of the white here and then start mixing my colors. Now for the girl, I will be using watercolors. This goes back to me using gouache on a face and not liking the result, and then I was so disappointed with that illustration. So I feel that you could get away with gouache. Obviously you can, because some artists do, if you just don't, or if you just water it down a bit more, at least in my case. But I will be using, let me see, get the right tone there. I always use some kind of what you would call that flesh color. I mean, obviously there are different kinds of skin tones, but I think this is called flesh then. In Germany you would call this Hautfarbe. At least you did. I'm not quite sure whether you do that anymore. Okay, so anyways, but what I will be using is this, and then I will be adding in all different kinds of other colors like blue and brown and pink. And yes, I like that better. Again, probably to mute it down a bit. I think that this paper is not ideal for watercolor. The granulating watercolor looks quite good on it because it's very smooth surface, and so the pigments flow quite nicely, and I really like then how that looks. But with, this is not a granulating watercolor, just a simple one. At least I enjoy it more to have real proper watercolor paper. I'm thinking of giving her a striped bathing suit because I just love blue stripes. But then again, that might look a bit too cheerful. I'm not quite sure yet. So I'm still not happy with her face, but it's just practice, so I can't be bothered with changing it. I feel it looks a bit off, and the hair was too high up, so I reduced that a bit. But again, I'm just practicing here. I don't want to use this illustration for anything, so I won't be changing too much. No, I won't be changing anything about it anymore now. Now, let's see. I'm so tempted to use more watercolors because I don't know why. I'm thinking of using a green watercolor on this here. But maybe before that I will just go on doing the ground. Now in the original it's just one plain color, but I really like to use different colors there. So let's see, where is my gouache brush? Is it this one? Yes, it is. I think I will be using gray now for this part here. That was blue. Oh, doesn't matter. And then maybe a light blue for the ground she stands on. That's very similar to the color I've just used. Let's see, then maybe the brown. I need a different palette to water it down. Well, this might be then close to her legs. That's not ideal as well. Oh no. So water that down quite a bit. Or maybe I will just do it like that. And maybe it will be blue here. So now one rule I have for myself is to always, if I have a color over here, I also want it to appear in different other parts of the illustration. So what I will do here is to add some dots on that gray. And maybe also make that heart flower here brown as well. Okay, so now I will let that dry and then I will get back to you in a minute. So, I'm thinking which other colors I want to use now. So I feel that I want this to be a light yellow. And this will be dark, and then before I thought about making it, but I won't make that green. And before I thought about making it green, I just remember that now when I saw the pink down here, but now I want it to be more yellow. So I will do that now. I'm mixing in a bit of brown watercolor here to vary the color. This is something I do, and then afterwards, if everything is dried, I often use these watercolor pencils. So for instance, this white here, these Derwent ink tints are lovely. These are watercolor pencils that look lovely when applied dry and also look lovely when done wet. That's not the right word, but you get what I mean. When you wet them, that's probably what I wanted to say.
The very first step, as Tim sort of said, is, remember, chocolate is a fruit. It does grow on trees. It looks a bit strange, so for those of you who can't see it at home, I'm holding up something which looks like a small rugby football. And it's got lots of different colours on it, and they are wonderful colours. And when you open it up, it tends to...
So this is the Schminke Horadam granulating watercolor, and I forgot the name again. Can't remember. Yes, I do remember. Tiefsee Schwarz, like deep sea black. And this will look very nice when it's drying. And I think the reason why I'm applying this to the rock is because I want this rock to be textured, and the granulation will look like, or will kind of mimic the texture of a rock. I don't know if you can see, but at this here it already dried a bit, and there also here and there you have these tiny little speckles, and yes, like I said, this looks kind of rock-like. Now with watercolor, as with all my other paintings, I never have a plan, and I'm always highly intuitive on where I apply the color, and I feel that's part of the fun that I have with it. I was always wondering when I saw people who said, "Oh, watercolor is so difficult, and I feel like I can never master it," and I never felt that way, and I think the reason is probably because I never tried to master it and always just had fun with it. using different amount of water and color, and dabbing the color and dabbing water in it and so on. So this is always a lot of fun for me and quite a relaxing process. Now let's see whether I can get that line here fairly clearly. I mean, isn't that just absolutely gorgeous? You really can't replace granulating watercolors with simple watercolors. There's just this magic about them when they dry. Good. Okay, so what else? I want to color all these little plants now, and I need find some color for her hair. I will start with the leaves that come out from behind the... No, I won't, because I can't reach them because this is also still so wet. So let's see, I have to work on this side. Which colors will I use here? I want to have something dark, very dark brown. And I've got this here in my watercolor kit. So I will be using that and maybe also mix it, oops, where is it? With a tiny bit of black. So this is obviously not the proper way to mix your colors in the pans, but I was too lazy to do it in a different way. So I do that to have more contrast to my illustration. If you look at the original, you have these 1, 2, 3 very dark parts, and this one as well. And this would be the dark tones, and then you have the mid-tone like this here, and obviously the most of it is a light tone. This is a mid-tone as well, and I want to emulate that. Is emulate the right word? I want to pay attention to that as well by having darker tones here, like on these little heart-shaped plants. Oh, I spilled some water on my illustration. And then maybe I want this to be gray. This is gouache now with a lot of water. I'm not quite sure, but I feel that I use too much water with my gouache. I think if you're a real gouache artist, you use less water than I do. So I want this to be pink and this. And in my mind, this was a very bright yellow, but I don't know if I can get away with it since I already used this more desaturated yellow there. Maybe I will use some watercolor here again. Let's see. I think I will be using my favorite watercolor, and that's the... I have to use a smaller brush. That's the Gletscher Blau. It's a granulating color by Schminke as well. Yes, I will just use that here. So all in all, my illustration will probably be more vibrant than the one Kate Pugsley did. Which is so funny that you feel drawn to something because, I don't know, you like how it's, like in my case, a muted palette, And then you try to recreate that, and then you tend to do it differently because that's just the way you work. Maybe add in some here. Maybe this one as well. I just love that color here. So add some dark watercolor as well. Okay, so what else? I feel like I can't make the girl work, so I don't want to get back to her. I think I know what I will be doing. I thought about having some plants just be pencil, and I will do that here. I will just add some pencil strokes as a color slash texture. Maybe I will do that to the girl as well. I think I will color her bathing suit like last when I've done all the other plants, and then I will decide which color I will give it. Okay, so let's go for the bushes and, or not bushes, not these leaves here, and make them pink. Okay, I just realized I wanted her bathing suit to be pink, so we'll do that. I think the pink comes because I feel it's a nice contrast to the black stone. So let's just go for it. This is so freeing, like knowing this is just a sketchbook illustration that I won't be using for much else than just maybe my Instagram or a video like this one. So if I mess it up, it really doesn't matter. Now I've really watered that pink down because I don't want it to be too overwhelming. And I might be adding some pencil strokes to this plant here later on as well. Okay, so overall I'm quite content. I don't like the look of the girl, but that's just how it is now. I also feel I can't really save that anymore. So I might just do her hair now, and then maybe if I digitize it I can kind of make her look a bit more to my liking, but if not, that's just the way it is. Now the only thing that I really have to work or to color a bit longer is now the background, and I will be used a very watered down gouache for that, and I will be using gray, and then I will either be adding some details with watercolor pencils, or I will be working on it a bit more in Procreate to, you know, get rid of tiny imperfections and maybe make some colors pop and so on. So I will see that in a minute, but now I will be adding the background. And yes, like I said, want to use a very, very, very light gouache gray for that. So add a lot of white, maybe a bit more, and then I'll actually be washing this gray because there's some blue in it. trying to get rid of that. Maybe I will be using just the black, very tiny amount of black, to avoid this getting too bluish. So let's see. Yes, that looks good. So let's see whether this amount is enough. Now this gouache is actually not watered down at all. So let's see how that looks when I'm done. Okay, so unfortunately my battery of my iPhone ran out, and so I didn't record the last part where I finished the background and then worked on it a bit with a pencil. It's an 8B pencil, so it's quite dark. And I also worked on it with the Madder Brown Derwent Inktense, and I just worked on the outlines a bit. So I didn't record that, but what I'm planning on recording is how I will try to improve the illustration a bit in Procreate, and I will share that in my next video. So if you're interested in finding out some tips and tricks on how to improve your illustration in Procreate, make sure to join me for the next video. So hopefully see you there. Bye!